Finally, I'm gonna be dreaming about this project. Of course, guys, you've been writing me, Danny, we've got less videos. Danny, we want to see you riding the bikes. Two things, I'm riding the bike a lot. I'm having the project with the new studio. This is the old one. The new one is actually the shabby one, which I'm renewing, so lots of work there. But in the meanwhile, I've been doing this project, Peugeot Boston restoration, for months. I have like 10 hours of materials, lots of terabytes in 4K, and I had been using the full range of my tools I have, which is the vibratory thing, which is some grinders. We're gonna be polishing, we're gonna be renewing, we're gonna be reassembling. And this bike didn't have many problems, except that it didn't have the chain, the cassette. The crankset was totally full of rust. The wheels were full of old grease and rust. The braking levers were twisted. The shifters were not working. The cables were not there. The saddle was stinky. So have fun watching it, and I'm gonna walk you through the whole process.
And here we go. Let's have this one without any background music, okay? And let me know please in the comments, what do you think about having these kinds of projects videos with no music in the background, just the tools so that you can hear what's happening here. This bike was not even covered with just a dust or dirt. It was some kind of slimy, rusty and greasy stuff, which was difficult to be taken off. So first I'm letting the degreaser to soak into all these parts, spokes included, and then I'm gonna use my steam cleaner. So let's see how it goes. Amazing effect. The degreaser plus some high temperature steam seems to be doing very good job with it. Here it is. The front hub is done, the rear one is waiting for cleaning. So after using degreaser, steam cleaner and different sets of brushes, here we have the effect. I love it. After cleaning both wheels, I love the effect. I'm using now a disc brake rotor cleaner in order to prepare the rim for the rim tape. It's not gonna be any fancy tape, this is just the electrical tape. 2 layers of it will protect both the rim and also the inner tube from those holes and nipples in the rim. It's time for the tires. I went for the skin-colored sidewalls on the tires, which I already had in my studio, but they will fit the project perfectly. They will fit the color of the frame and also this kind of vintage clean look. Both wheels needed some little bit of truing, which I did not film, but I was surprised and happy that those nipples were not stuck on the threads of the spokes, which is kind of a standard on such an old bike. It worked perfectly. Now some polishing and you can see the shiny thing. I love it. Yeah, the freehub body is now prepared for the cassette, but there was a slight problem with it. More about that in a second. You can see now the color of the tires and the brown frame set with those light brown signs, Peugeot and Boston, and that logo. They look pretty nice. I do like it. And the tires are actually 26 millimeters. And the old school brakes will take them no problem because these are cantilevers. Once again, shiny parts. This is how the crankset looks like. This is very difficult to clean, so I'm gonna use my polishing machine. This is the one I'm actually learning to do it. This is the right crank arm, which is almost ready. It looked like this. It was abused. There was many deep scratches. This is the left one. I want to show you the difference between no polishing, first phase polishing, and the second phase polishing. We're gonna do it together. So you see, this is actually the quickest phase of this work. If you're going to use this is metal stuff. It's very hard on the aluminum, and it takes removes the dirt or rust very quickly. Okay, and we go from Shimano to the pedal mount. See? No polishing. Left side. And our first phase polish here. This finishing paste. See, this was polished with the 800, and this is the 1500 that you can see here. Lots of difference. The chainrings of the crankset have spent the entire night in this tumbler. They look great, but not fully restored yet.
Yeah.
I am amazed how all these parts have turned out. They are shiny and look almost as new. I must tell you that the tumbler is really perfect for all these little bolts and spacers. Now you just need to remember how to put those chain rings. They have the left side and the right side, and there's also some kind of marking which goes just behind the crank arm. These older cranksets were much more complicated than the modern one. There's more spacers, and there are actually two kinds of spacers on this one, so you need to remember which one goes in between which chain rings. The rear wheel here doesn't go all the way into the drop, so you need to center it in the frame.
Oh, yes.
The cantilever brakes, they are not as powerful as the V-brakes, which came after the cantilevers, but still pretty good, quite easy to set up, and you can see here pretty much all the parts that make up the whole cantilever braking system. Let's put them all together. Applying the grease on these pivots will protect them from the rust, but also they will make the cantilevers to work pretty smoothly. It's also a good idea to polish the pivots before applying the grease. Now we just check the smooth operation of the brakes and whether or not the spring is working well. It does. Remember that the grease is not only minimizing the friction, but it also seals the parts of the bike against the water and the dirt. So putting the grease into these old school bottom brackets, which don't have very good seals, to be honest, is a good idea. I would even put much more than you can see on this video. What also surprised me on this project was that I was actually able to refurbish a whole original bottom bracket without replacing any parts. And it works smoothly.
Yeah.
It's time for the stinky saddle, and the steam cleaner is the best for that. Moving over to the old studio, which is much more nice to work in during the winter. We've got the heating here. And this is our 7-speed freehub body, which after all these years works perfectly. This wheel will spin for another tens of thousands of miles, really.
Yeah. By the way, when you see this 21 speed sign on the frame, it means it's gonna have 3/7 speed. That means cassette has to be 7 speed. Somehow I divided 21 by 3 and I bought 9-speed cassette for it. This is why I have this 9-speed cassette left for some other project.
And this is our actual 7-speed cassette. It does require a little spacer on the freehub body. That means that this freehub body will take 7-speed with a spacer, probably 8-speed with no spacer, and it won't take 9-speed cassette. I tried it. This 7 and probably also 8-speed compatible chain doesn't come with the quick link. It just comes with this little pin just prepared for closing the chain, for being pushed through the link, which also make it actually very easy to shorten the other side of the chain. I didn't have to shorten anything here. We're going back now to the headset before we put the handlebars on.
Old one, new one. Whoops.
The upper and the lower shell, even though they have same diameter, they don't look the same. So when you remove the original ones, just see which one is the bottom one and which one is the top one. By the way, I just got this really high quality headset tool and with some other tools also, and I'm going to tell you more about it in the future. I love these tools. And this is a simple test you want to do if you're not sure how to put those bearings into the cups. The wrong side will never be as smooth as the right side.
Shoot.
Alright, we've got the handlebars, so it's time to build the cockpit. For that we need the shifters. Both the left and the right shifter were jammed, not really working, so I did a full rebuild of those, and the detailed video will follow the one you're just watching. Yeah, there's many parts of each shifter, but if you do it step by step with me, it's not gonna be really hard. By the way, the right one is completely different than the left one, so knowing how to reassemble the left one is not enough in order to do the other one. Now I'm putting just a clean water on the handlebars and on those grips. When I prepared the housings and the cables, I know I'm really close to checking the shifting. I like this moment. And yes, there is a one screw, it can be a barrel adjuster missing here on this cable stop, so the owner of the bike has to buy a new one. Have I lost it? And here I was just trying to figure out whether we could use those modern type V-brake braking pads on the cantilevers. The pivots on those are thinner, and I was not feeling good about how these cantilevers would hold them, so I went back to the old ones. Which color would you choose for our cables? For this frame? I went for this one. As always, guys, make sure that you mount this cable on the right side of the bolt. It should have some kind of a groove here. We just need a little adjustment for the front derailleur. There you go, and just see how perfectly it works. This is a K2 cream I'm using for the interior of my pickup truck, and even though this saddle is not made of leather, certainly, it turned out pretty good. I like it. It's time to see the effect of the whole work here.
That's it. Let me know if you like the bike, or how would you restore it? What would you do differently? And then the following video will be about those DX shifters, detailed reassembly. And after that, I have purchased two 26-inch used and cheap bikes, and I'm gonna be converting those to e-bikes for commuting, and not only commuting. We'll see that very, very soon. Bye-bye.